Some language techniques used in Patricia Highsmith's short story, Ming's Biggest Prey. The title of the story, to start with. Ming the cat is the protagonist of the story, and Teddy is his biggest prey. Till now, Ming had caught only birds and mice, like normal cats. But now he has managed to kill a man, Teddy, using his perfect sense of timing, taking his prey by surprise. This is very surprising for the reader because it's not normal and it's not expected for a cat to be able to kill a man. But indeed, this is what happens in this story. The reader is the omniscient presence in this story. That means that we can see everything that Ming can, but Teddy and Elaine can't. So we are conspirational with Ming. We are like his conspirator. Only the reader and Ming know exactly what has happened in the story, and neither of us can talk. We can't, and Ming can't. So this is a very interesting narrative viewpoint. The reader, follow the characters around like an invisible presence. We can see what's happening, but we have no voice. Highsmith is a master of a vibrant prose that conveys the danger that lurks for Ming, but Ming can't communicate. And the story is written by a cat lover, that's for sure. It's quite clear that Highsmith is a fan of cats. She uses specific words that show that she's observed cats very carefully. And she uses a lot, of verbs to describe Ming's behavior and movements, which are very cat-like, including arch, cling, dash, spring, and twitch. And these word choices are quite particular for cats, and it shows that Highsmith has observed cats very carefully. The author's intended effect. Several times in this story we are given the sense or the tone or the feeling of the human conversations as perceived by Ming, but we rarely hear the actual words. We're only told through Ming, and he focuses on the tone of what is being said. Two examples are, sometimes Teddy muttered something which Ming knew was a threat. So we know it's a threat, but we don't actually hear what Teddy is saying. So we can't make up our own minds. We just hear the tone through Ming. And again, she was talking to the man and not in a gentle tone. So again, we don't hear the actual words. We just hear what the tone is like through Ming. Lines like this make the reader feel distant from Elaine and Teddy, perhaps just the same as Ming does. So Ming feels distance because he's a cat and they are human beings. So he can't understand in the same way, and nor can we, because we hear it through Ming. We hear everything through Ming. The author's intended effect means what effect does the author want to produce in her story or his story, her story in this case. You should try to find more examples where Highsmith's writing purposefully tries to distance the reader from the human characters. And also you should think about, why would Highsmith try for this effect in her story? The irony in Ming's Biggest Prey. For some time, Teddy has tried to get rid of Ming, but in the end, it is Teddy who dies at the hands, or the paws, of Ming. So you could compare this to Srednivashtar. Mrs. Durop was the one who died in the end, even though it was Conradin who we'd been told at the beginning of the story was going to die within 5 years. And that was ironic in Srednivashtar, and this is ironic in Ming's Biggest Prey. Anaphora. Anaphora means the repetition of a word at the beginning of a sentence. We can see this in this quotation here. People who separated him from Elaine, people who stroked him roughly, people who closed a door somewhere. So the repetition is people who, people who, people who. Why do you think Highsmith uses this device of anaphora? It's possibly to make the reader sympathize with Ming, possibly to emphasize the hard life that Ming had. It makes us sympathize with Ming because these three things are what Ming doesn't like about the people who visit his and Elaine's house. They separate him from Elaine. They are not gentle with him. They close a door and lock him in, accidentally, but still. Okay, some quotes to look at. People. Ming detested people. Detested is a very strong word, by the way. It means to really, really, really hate. In all the world, he liked only Elaine. Elaine loved him and understood him. So Elaine had bought Ming from a pet shop. She loved Ming and pampered him. Ming was from New York, but now he lived with Elaine in Acapulco, which is in Mexico. Elaine had a shop there and Ming loved lazing about or sleeping in his basket. People, quite clearly, were not Ming's favourite creatures. People rubbed him up the wrong way often. They did not bother to find out what he liked, unlike Elaine, who knew him very well and cared about him, deeply, deeply cared about him. The only human that Ming loved was Elaine, and you could almost say that he was a little bit obsessed with her. It's not necessarily a healthy love. Ming! Elaine came over to him. Aren't you getting cooked, darling? I thought you were in. So did I, said Teddy. Ming hated people, but of all of them, Ming hated Teddy the most. Teddy was Elaine's current boyfriend. Teddy resented the cat, and Ming returned the feeling. Ming considered Teddy to be an intruder who kept him away from his mistress. Just now, in this quote, when Elaine had not been looking, Teddy had thrown in a quite dramatic way, Ming out of the cabin of the boat. On the deck, the sun was blazing. So it's quite dangerous for a cat to be out in the midday sun without any shade. Ming makes himself comfortable. Ming is in the process of making himself comfortable when Elaine comes out and rescues him from the heat and is very concerned about him. Teddy pretends that he did not have anything to do with Ming being out on the deck. But of course he did, because it was him that had thrown him out on the deck in the first place. Another quote. But Ming sensed that Teddy took it as a hostile gesture of some kind, which is why Ming did it deliberately to Teddy, whereas among other people it was often an accident when Ming's tongue slid out. Hostile, you should look up that word to see what it means. We can see here that Ming is trying to wind Teddy up by sticking his tongue out because it annoys Teddy. Ming liked to aggravate or annoy Teddy with his mannerisms, and one of his mannerisms was letting his tongue fall out to make it look like it was sticking out. He let his tongue slide out of his mouth as though he was actually sticking his tongue out in a rude gesture, which really annoyed Teddy. With other people, it happened accidentally, but when Teddy was looking at him, he did it on purpose. So Ming is antagonizing Teddy. He's trying to wind him up. Ming did not move at all. Ming heard the soft rattle of the white necklace which belonged to the mistress. The man put it into his pocket, then moved to Ming's right, out the door that went to the big living room. This is the scene where Teddy is stealing Elaine's white, which we assume is a diamond, necklace. Ming didn't move, so Teddy didn't know that Ming had seen him. Ming walks into the bedroom and surprises Teddy, who is looking through the contents of a box on Elaine's dressing table. Ming lets out a low growl to show his anger. He watches Teddy take out the white necklace, dropping it into his pocket. All the while, Ming remains immobile. He doesn't move, but he's ready for action. He's ready to attack if necessary. This has confirmed to Ming that he was right all along in mistrusting Teddy. He is just and off the page here, he is just a thief. So Ming has been proven right. There was a great deal of talk below, noises of feet, breaking of bushes, and the smell of all of them mounted the steps, the smell of tobacco, sweat, and the familiar smell of blood. Familiar smell of blood because he is a cat, and he is used to killing things. Maybe not a man, but he's used to killing mice and birds and things. So, the familiar smell of tobacco, sweat, and blood. The man's blood. Note how short this sentence is. Highsmith really wants us to focus on the man's blood, which is why she has written it in such a short sentence to emphasize it. Ming was pleased when he killed a bird and created the smell of blood under his own teeth. Notice how many times blood is repeated in this quote. 1, 2, 3. Have a think about why Highsmith has repeated the word blood 3 times. After stealing Elaine's necklace, Teddy drinks. When he comes out onto the terrace, he is a little tipsy and unsteady on his feet. He makes for Ming, maybe to pick him up and throw him down from the terrace. However, Teddy suddenly grabs a chair and smacks Ming with it. In spite of the pain, Ming dashes up the steps and bides his time. As Teddy comes up the steps, Ming springs at him and both fall down onto the garden below. But Ming being a cat, he absorbs the fall, but it probably breaks Teddy's neck. This is the wrong break here. Later, he watches Elaine searching for Teddy, but Ming gloats, confident that the man has died. He's very happy that Teddy has died. He feels the same kind of satisfaction that he had when he has killed a bird. He shows no sympathy towards Teddy whatsoever.